Janme Prabhu say, Chachidana Deloye, Janme Prabhu say, Jigana Ride Prokashito, Jigana Ride Prokashito. Te avidya vinasiyate Eva bhaktiya te avidya vinasiyate Deyaya naracharito Vedegaya naracharito Jaya de amore parachaya Prabhu Kodaya de amore parachaya Papa Deva Vasarana Prabhupada Patita Pavana Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada Hare Bol Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango. Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango. Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango. Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango. Nitai, 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 Nitai Gaurango. Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol Jai Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol Jai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Radha Tam Sundar Radha Tam Sundar Radhe. Jai Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram. Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Shri Shimare Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivraj Kacharya Shtotarstu Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Gaudiya Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Mayapur Dham ki jai, Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai, Nuramanveti Dham ki jai, Tulasi Maharani ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Yamuna Mai ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande Hari Hari Bo, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, All grace to the assembled devotee, all grace to the assembled devotee, all grace to the assembled devotee. All grace to Shri Shri Guru Gaurango.
Hare Krishna. So this is just a short reading on the lecture Srila Prabhupada gave in 1968 in Los Angeles. Disciple says, Prabhupada, when you're out on Sankirtan chanting, what would be the best way for us to engage the crowd to become participants in the chant with us? Prabhupada, best way, you go on chanting. Your business is not to, I mean to say, satisfy the crowd. Your business is to satisfy Krishna, and then the crowd will be automatically satisfied. We are not going to please the crowd. We are going to give them something, Krishna. So you should be very much careful whether you are delivering Krishna in the right way. Then they'll be satisfied. Your only business should be to satisfy Krishna. Then everything will be satisfied. Tasmin tushte jagat tushta. If Krishna is satisfied, then whole world is satisfied. If you pour water on the root, then it is automatically distributed in every parts of the tree. So Krishna is the big tree, root of the big tree, and you take to watering Krishna, chant Hare Krishna, and follow the rules and regulation, and everything will be all right. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Harisari Prabhu had 2 planes cancel yesterday. How frustrating. So anyway, he's coming in this afternoon, we expect, and he'll give class Saturday and Sunday, and we appreciate Leelananda being flexible and switching his class so that he'll give class this morning, because Friday he's doing the Krishna House class. And we hope that Monday evening he'll also give a talk in the temple room, and then we'll see about Tuesday evening. It depends if they're going to have him in Orlando or not. The ladies' Sangha is this Saturday, 9:30 a.m. at the Bhakti Bhavan. All ladies are invited for chanting and hearing and remembering Krishna and taking prasadam after the chanting, hearing, remembering part. All right, Daytona Beach Rath Yatra is next weekend, not this coming, but the following weekend. And if you are in town and not going away, then we sure hope you will come out for this. It's a lot of preparation. It's a big day in Daytona Beach. Lots of people will be there. Great opportunity to spread Krishna consciousness. So if you're at all possible, please plan to come. If you would like to do some service, you can have a free bus ticket there. So there's a sheet at the back of the temple room, and you can sign up and look over the services that are available that day. These are the devotees who assisted their spiritual master dressing the deities today. Shishi Radha Sham Sundar Nanda Devi Dasi, Chota Radha Sham Sundar Leela Devi Dasi, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram Jayanti Devi Dasi, Chota Krishna Balaram Guru Prasad Devi Dasi, Shri Shri Gornitai Astasaki Devi Dasi, Chota Gornitai Ekadasi Vrata Devi Dasi, the Gurus and Lord Nrsingadev Krishna Kripa Moy Das. And Leelananda Prabhu is giving class today. Green beans, look at those lonely green beans over there on the ladies' side, if anyone can help prep them.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Jamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari Jamuna Tiravanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajaka Acharya Sotara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prince Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Kiri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavandam Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Navadvitam Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Shri Mati Tulasi Devi Maharani Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samavita Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Krishna Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shri Mati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Varsya Chacha Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya So today is Thursday, May 15th, 2014. And this is Leela Nanda Das, your servant, giving class on the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 42, the breaking of the bow. And its text is number 1. Okay, here we go. This is actually a very exciting chapter. This chapter describes the benediction Trivakra received, the breaking of the sacrificial bow, the destruction of Kansa's soldiers, the inauspicious omens Kansa saw in the festivities at the wrestling arena. After leaving Sudama's house, Lord Krishna came upon Trivakra, a young hunchbacked maidservant of Kansa's, who was carrying a tray of fine ointments. The Lord asked her who she was and requested some ointment from her. Entranced by his beauty and joking words, Trivakra gave both Krishna and Balaram a good deal of ointment. Just imagine that Krishna walks into your house and asks for something. How would you feel? No? Krishna is the supreme beauty. Now, sometimes you may be in a place and a beautiful person, man or woman, comes in, and immediately people can't help than look. Yeah? But can you imagine Krishna, the supreme beauty, walking on the streets of Mathura, and then stops at this place and asks the woman for some ointment? Now, even in this world, even if like an important personality like President Obama or somebody important walks in, everybody stops and starts looking at the person. The whole place stops. In return, Krishna stepped on her toes. Like if it was not enough just appearing there, he stepped on her toes with his lotus feet, took hold of her chin and lifted. It says here that Krishna took his two indicator fingers here and lifted, and he stretched her up. Thus straightening her spine. The now beautiful and charming Trivakra then grabbed the edge of Krishna's upper cloth and asked him to come to her house. Krishna replied that after he had taken care of some business, he would certainly come and relieve her mental torment. Then the two lords continued their sightseeing tour of Mathura. So they're doing sightseeing, like we do sightseeing sometimes when we go to places. So Krishna and Balaram, so let's do some sightseeing here. So this big city, As Krishna and Balaram walked along the king's road, the merchants worshipped them with various offerings. Krishna asked where the bow sacrifice was to take place, and when he arrived at the arena, he saw the wonderful bow, which resembled Lord Indra's. Despite the guards' protests, Krishna forcibly picked up the bow, easily strung it, and in an instant broke it in half, producing an ear-splitting sound that filled the heavens and struck terror in the heart of Kansa. The many guards attacked Krishna, crying out, "Seize him! Kill him!" But Krishna and Balaram simply picked up the two halves of the bow and beat the guards to death. No retreat, no surrender. It's finished. Next, the lords annihilated the company of soldiers sent by Kansa, and then they left the arena and continued their tour, like if nothing had happened. They just killed a bunch of soldiers and finished the guards, and then suddenly they continued the tour. Let's keep going. When the people of the city saw the amazing prowess and beauty of Krishna and Balaram, they thought they must be the two chief demigods. Indeed, as the residents of Mathura gazed upon the lords, they enjoyed all the blessings the gopis had predicted. At sunset, Krishna and Balaram returned to the cowards' camp for their evening meal. So it looks like they were camping somewhere, in the neighborhood, it appears. So they returned to the camp for the evening meal. They then passed the night resting comfortably, but King Kansa was not so fortunate. He needed some sleeping aid. When he heard how Krishna and Balaram had easily broken the mighty bow and destroyed his soldiers, he spent the night in great anxiety. Both while awake and while dreaming, he saw many ill omens, portending his imminent death, and his fear ruined any chance for rest. Wow, he was finished. At dawn, the wrestling festival began. Crowds of people from the city and outlying districts entered the arena and took their seats in the lavishly decorated galleries. Kansa, his heart trembling, sat down on the royal dais and invited Nanda Maharaj and the other cowherd men to come sit in their places, and they did so after offering him their gifts. The musical overture then began as the sound of the wrestlers slapping their arms resounded. Wow, that's some kind of event, no? Imagine this was announced everywhere, so people were coming from far away just to watch this event. So it was a major event in the town of Mathura. And now should I just read the verse 1? Madam, it's just number 1? Just one. Okay. Sorry, I was requested to give this class yesterday at like about 2 p.m. So but I did some reading this morning, and by the Lord's grace, something good will come out. So, Shri Shuka Uvacha Atha Vrajam Rajapatena Madhava Striyam Grihitanga Vilepa Bhajanam Vilokya Kubjam Yuvatim Varanavam Varananam Paprachayatim Prahasam Rasaprada Shri Shuka Uvacha Atha Vrajam Rajapatena Madhava Striyam Grihitam Gavilepa Bhajanam Vilokya Kubjam Yuvatim Varananam Paprachayatim Prahasam Rasaprada Shri Shuka Uvacha Atha Vrajam Rajapatena Madhava Striyam Grihitam Gavilepa Bhajanam Vilokya Kubjam Yuvatim Varananam Paprachayatim Prahasam Rasaprada Atha Vrajam Rajapatena Madhava Striyam Grihitanga Vilepa Bhajanam Lokya Kubjam Yavatim Varananam Paprachayantim Prahasam Rasaprada. The Matajis. Atha Vrajam Rajapatena Madhava Sriyam Grihitanga Vilepa Bhajanam Vilokya Kubjam Yavatim Varananam Praprachayantim prahasam rasaprada Yatha vrajam rajapatena madhava rasaprada Atha vrajam rajapatena madhava Viloke kubjam yuvatim varananam Paprachayam ting prahasam rasaprada Shishuka uvacha Shukadeva Goswami said Atha then Vrajam walking Rajapathena along the king's road Madhava Krishna Striyam a woman Grihita holding Anga for the body Vilepa with ointments Bhajanam a tray Vilokya scene Kubjam hunchback Yuvatim young Varaananam with an attractive face Papracha he inquired Yantin going Prahasam smiling Rasa of the pleasure of love Prada the bestower Shukadeva Goswami said, as he walked down the king's road, Lord Madhava then saw a young hunchback woman with an attractive face, who carried a tray of fragrant ointments as she walked along. The bestower of the ecstasy of love smiled and inquired from her as follows. Please repeat. Shukadeva Goswami said, as he walked down the king's road, Lord Madhava then saw a young hunchback woman with an attractive face who carried a tray of fragrant ointments as she walked along. The bestower of the ecstasy of love smiled and inquired from her as follows. Purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. According to Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, the young hunchback girl was actually a partial expansion of the Lord's wife, Satyabhama. Satyabhama is the Lord's internal energy known as Bhu Shakti, and this expansion of hairs, known as Prithivi, represents the earth, which was bent down by the great burden of countless wicked rulers. Lord Krishna descended to remove these wicked rulers, and thus his pastime of straightening out the hunchback Trivakra, as explained in these verses, represents his rectifying the burdened condition of the earth. At the same time, the Lord awarded Trivakra a conjugal relationship with himself. In addition to the giving meaning, the word Rasa Pradaha indicates that the Lord amused his coward boyfriends by his dealings with the young hunchback. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachadine Nirvisesha Shanyavadi Pascharcha Dishatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasili Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Om Agyana Chimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya, Chakshurumiritanjana Tashmai Shri Gurave. So, this is a very exciting story. Number one, it's described here that this girl, she was a hunchback, but she had a beautiful face. And naturally, a woman that is deformed like this would not be a very attractive woman. But Krishna came to her and gave her his blessings. Trivakra, which is her name mentioned here, and is also another name of Kubja, means that she was bent in 3 places. She was bent in the neck, the chest, and waist. So she was really in a bad situation, all bent. And that she also represents an expansion of Satyabhama. And this expansion, Prithivi, means that she represents the earth. And because the earth was being burdened by these impious kings, Krishna came to straighten her up, and also at the same time send the message that I'm going to kill all these impious kings. It's a double meaning here. And it's interesting how Krishna did this, because he stepped on her toes with his both feet. So that in itself is, extremely transcendental and pleasant, to have the Supreme Lord walk into your house or a store and suddenly steps on your toes, and then with these 2 indicator fingers, he pushed her up here, stretched. This is what I would call all-in-one, no-invasive surgery and physical therapy without MRI altogether. So he got her all straightened up without any effort. So this is not a usual thing to do. And actually, it's interesting that one may say, how could somebody do this? But actually, there are people that do things like this even today. In Brazil, there's a man that does this kind of operation like this, non-invasive operation with some kind of power. So why Krishna cannot have the power to straighten her body and make her perfect? And also it's explained later in the chapter that she became very beautiful, and all the limbs of her body were proportionally set. Explains about her breast and her thighs and everything. And then, of course, after Krishna doing that, before Krishna doing this, she was already completely in love with Krishna just by seeing him, as were all the inhabitants of Mathura. Everybody, Krishna walking, everybody is completely in love with him. And after this, she told Krishna, please come to my house. She immediately said like this. And then Krishna looked at Balaram and looked at the coward boys, because they were like many of them walking together doing sightseeing. It was not just Krishna and Balaram. The coward boys were with them as well. So it doesn't say here how many, but we should assume that there were many of them, because Krishna had many friends. And Krishna looked at the coward boys, looked at Balaram, and told her, but now what will people think of this? And she said, I'm sorry, I can't help. It was your fault that you touched me. Now I can't help. You must come to my house. I cannot afford to leave you here. She said, I cannot afford to leave you in this place. So she was completely insistent that Krishna, I'm going to take you home with me. And then Krishna told her, well, I have some business to take care of. But after I take care of this business, I assure you, I will come to visit you. And he says, agrihanam. And it's explained in the purport, when he used the word agrihanam, means that on the translation it says, because, no, we are homeless. No, we don't have a fixed home. But it's explained by the disciples of Prabhupada that when he says the word agrihanam, means that we not only don't have a fixed residence, I'm not married either. Krishna said, no, agrihanam, I'm not married either. So kind of he gave her some hope. Yes, there's no problem. But now, it's interesting when he says I'm not married either, because I don't know exactly how old Krishna was here. I was trying to find out. Does anybody know? But he wasn't that old. I think he was 10 years old, 10 or 11 years old. And one may think, why should a boy, come to you that is 10 or 11 years old and say, I'm not married? That they would say, but that doesn't make any sense, So I would like to read you something. This is from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Swalikita Jivani. It's quite interesting. Please pay attention. Listen. The marriage, Swalikita Jivani is that his autobiography. Okay? The marriage was decided. Dasu Mama acted as the head of the family. Nanda Kumar began to make the jewelry. Stealing a large amount of gold from mother, he made different kinds of ornaments for the girl, enough to cover her entire body. Dasu Mama gave the approval for everything. The expense was great. There was a pleasure boat, a wedding palanquin. So this is his wedding. He's describing his wedding, Decorations, lights, English music, etc. Actually, in this autobiography, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that he admired very much how the English women dressed. They had those long dresses and they were like armed. He mentions it. There was a pleasure boat, a wedding palanquin, decorations, lights, English music, etc. The marriage was between a 12-year-old boy and a 5-year-old girl. So he was 12 and the girl was 5. So even recently, in the sense compared to Krishna's appearance 5,000 years ago, even recently, a 12-year-old boy was marrying a 5-year-old girl. And actually, he says that when it came the time to go to his in-law's house, he told his parents, I cannot go alone. I need to go with my nanny. My nanny has to come with me. So she went with him. He was so young, So when Krishna says that, no, I'm not married, so we understand that people could marry at that age, at that time. And also, we see here in the verses that will come, that Krishna actually says very nice and sweet things to Trivakra. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord, there's a verse about the austerity of speech, where Krishna says, Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priya hitam chayat swadhyaya vyashanam chaiva Vamayam tapauchate. Tapauchate. No. Vamayam tapauchate. That the austerity of the tongue is to speaking words that are truthful. Now, it doesn't mean that speaking words that are truthful, you come to somebody and say, you are really ugly. It cannot be like that, because Krishna says then that not only truthful, but they are pleasing words. The words have to be pleasing as well. And actually, in one of the verses in this chapter, even before doing the all-in-one, non-invasive surgery in Trivakra, Krishna told Hare that you look so beautiful. And it's explained in the purport that this was a joke, but was not a malicious joke, because Krishna already knew that he was going to make her beautiful. So Krishna was telling her pleasing words and beneficial that would help her, would encourage her. So in our Krishna consciousness movement, the preachers have a very important position, because a preacher can make or can break. When the preacher opens his mouth, he can completely discourage someone to serve Krishna, or he can completely encourage someone to serve Krishna. I was doing a search on the Veda base, how many times Prabhupada wrote letters that he said, I'm very happy. And I read and I could not get to the end, because there were so many encouraging letters saying, I'm very happy that you were distributing books. I'm very happy that you were worshiping the deities. I'm very happy that in such a young age you went to another country and you were preaching Krishna consciousness. And he goes on and on and on and on. Actually, Hansadutta Prabhu, he explains that when he was in Germany, he was alone. And Prabhupada would send letters constantly. And many times he was discouraged to go out. And the only time he went out is to go to the mailbox to get mails from Prabhupada. And then he would get encouraged. And then he would go out and preach. And gradually his enthusiasm would decline. And he would stay home again. And then the next letter would come. And he would go out and preach. And there is also another instance when Gargamuni was in Hong Kong. And he wrote to Prabhupada, "People are not interested here, Prabhupada. There is nothing happening here. There's no preaching happening here. I think it's better you send me to another place." So he had this apartment. And Prabhupada wrote back, "I understand that nothing is happening, that not much preaching is happening. It's okay. Then you just stay inside the apartment and chant Hare Krishna. And that is going to be enough to purify the entire Hong Kong." He was always encouraging them. Always encouraging. And he was always admiring, saying something nice. Giriraj Swami says that when his mother, Mrs. Titan, and his father, Mr. Titan, went to Bombay to meet with Prabhupada, the story is that they went to Bombay because they wanted to take their son home. That was the idea. And Mr. Titan was a big lawyer in in Chicago. So they went there and they sat down with Prabhupada. And I heard this story from Srinathji directly, who was there. And Mr. Titan said, "Prabhupada." And Giriraj came to his ears and said, "It's not Prabhupada, it's Prabhupada. We came here to take our son home. We're taking him home with us." Prabhupada said, "Giriraj, would you like to go home?" Giriraj said, "Prabhupada, there's no power in this world that can separate me from you." So what a beautiful statement. Huh? There's no power in this world. And Prabhupada said, he doesn't want to go. But Prabhupada told him, "But Giriraj, but I think you should go on vacation with your parents." Now, Giriraj was a brahmachari. And we heard him saying here in Alachua that he was afraid even to go out of the temple because he would be distracted by the billboards and people walking, so he liked to stay inside the temple. And suddenly Prabhupada said to him, "Why don't you go on vacation with your parents?" And they were going to Singapore. And I was surprised. "Prabhupada, vacation?" "Yes, go on vacation with your parents." So he went on vacation with them. Then they came back, and Srinathji's parents, who were part of the high society of Mumbai or Bombay on those days, introduced their friends, and everybody was happy. And so much so that when Mrs. Titan left her body, she donated a lot of money to the Bhaktivedanta Hospital. And whoever has been to the Bhaktivedanta Hospital, there is the Titan Eye Clinic that was sponsored by her. You see how Prabhupada was so encouraging? And when Prabhupada met them for the first time, Prabhupada told Mrs. Titan, "Oh, you look so young." And naturally, you tell a woman that you look so young, and she feels happy. Prabhupada was wise to make people happy. Why not? If you can say some sweet words and nice words, and the person will feel good, why not say? And when Shrutakirti was massaging Prabhupada's body, and Prabhupada was seated on the lotus position, and Shrutakirti was also seated on the lotus position, he noticed that Prabhupada was looking at his feet. Was not only looking, was staring at his feet. So he felt a little uncomfortable. And suddenly Prabhupada broke the silence and said, "Is your mother beautiful?" Out of the blue, "Is your mother beautiful?" And Shrutakirti said, "Well, no, she's older, but when she was young, yeah, she was very beautiful." Because in India we say that when the son has a beautiful feet, the mother is beautiful. So very encouraging. How can you imagine how Shrutakirti felt listening to something like this? And how the devotees who received a letter from Prabhupada, an encouraging letter with sweet words, with pleasing words, how they felt. And how their wives felt, and their children, and their friends when they saw the letter. On the old days when the letter came from Prabhupada, everybody got around the person receiving the letter to, "What is it? What did he say?" And actually I have a project in my mind that I would like to go over all the letters that Prabhupada wrote and calculate how many were encouraging and how many were punishing, because the spiritual master sometimes has to punish the disciple as well. And I have a gut feeling that a large percentage is just encouraging letters. Encouraging. And making people enthusiastic. You know, that I'm so happy that you were doing this. That you were American boys and girls and you came to India without any comfort. I'm so happy that you were serving here, even in such difficult circumstances. I'm so happy that you're dedicating all your youth in the service of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, spreading the Sankirtan movement, you're distributing these books, and it goes on and on and on and on and on. So we see here how the Lord Krishna himself, he goes to a hunchback and tells her that you are so beautiful. He will tell you. You know. Imagine how she felt. You know. And we want some of your ointment. Would you be kind to give some to us? It's, of course, you take the whole inventory. You know. It's no problem. You know. And it's explained that Krishna ointed his body with a yellow ointment and Balaram with a blue ointment. And then again, they were sightseeing in Vrindavan. Actually, it's so important to encourage people. Many years ago, it may be 15 years or even longer than that, I read in New York City research that was published in the Newsday newspaper. And the question was, why people stay in their jobs? Why they don't change jobs? And the number one reason was because it wasn't money. It wasn't money, the number one reason. The number one reason was because they felt appreciated by the manager. Very important to appreciate. And also, I don't know if you know this, the number one suicide place in the world is in the US. Do you know where that place is? No. It's the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. Okay? That bridge was built in 1937 by an architect, engineer, Mr. Strauss. And he wrote that this bridge is practically suicide-proof. It's unlikely that anybody will be able to commit suicide from this bridge. It's probably illogical. But since then, over 1,600 people committed suicide on that bridge. And on a speech by one of the officers that patrols that bridge, or patrolled for 25 years, and then he retired, telling some of these stories, he tells the story of this man, David, who was 32 years old. And when he was called, David was already on the edge of the bridge, which is just a few inches, and from there you go down. And it says that you go down at 75 miles per hour, and when you hit the water, all your bones break. And if you don't die with the impact, then you just drown and die right there, without hope. So David, this was the third time he had come to commit suicide all the way from New Jersey. The first two times, somehow he didn't. Now it's the third time. And he's talking to the officer. Have you heard about the Pandora box? The officer said, he was asking the officer. And the officer said, yes. So the Pandora box was sent with a girl from heaven by Zeus, the Greek god Zeus, to earth. But he told her, you never open it. You know what happens when you say something like this, no? So what did she do? The first thing she did when she got to earth, she opened it. And all kinds of bad omens and problems walked out of the box. But there was one thing left in the box. Do you know what was it? Was hope. Hope was left in the box. So he's telling the officer the story. And then he asked the officer, but what about when you can't find hope? What do you do? And he said that, and he turned around, and is gone. So many people in this world, they have no hope, and we are their hope. Actually, in a walk at a park in London, Prabhupada walked by some beggars, homeless people. This story was told by Braj Bihari Prabhu from England. And I'm trying to remember the story exactly, so maybe not completely exactly, but the meaning is right. And a devotee said that it's their fortune that you're walking by them, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, it's their good fortune. And Braj Bihari, who was trying to ask a question to Prabhupada, but never had the guts to do it, suddenly he came forward and said, but Prabhupada, I thought, no, it has to do with karma. So what good fortune has to do with this? And Prabhupada said, well, we are their good fortune. Without us, they don't have good fortune. So in this world, it's like this. Without the Krishna consciousness movement, like it's explained, when Krishna left this world, he left the Bhagavatam behind. And the Bhagavatam is the good fortune of this world. And giving the Krishna consciousness is the good fortune of this world. Unfortunately, our resources are limited to go and give displeasing knowledge to people everywhere. I like analysis and numbers. It's just in my nature. So there are 7,000 institutions of higher education in the world. 7,000. This research is from 2007, from the book The World is Flat by Thomas Friedman, business writer for the New York Times. So it may be a little different now. But 7,000, and out of those 7,000 in the world, 4,000 are in America. Now a question for you. How many have Krishna lunch of the 4,000? Any significant number? Yes or no? And these 4,000 universities, they have libraries. And at one point we had the library party. I don't know if we have the library party now, I'm not sure. But how many have all this collection of Prabhupada's books of these 4,000 universities? You know? So people are starving for these blessings. Now on that same bridge in San Francisco, Golden Gate Bridge, many other people were saved. And this officer explains that the people that were saved, there's a young man that was about to commit suicide, and he started talking to the officer. And he was talking for an hour and a half. And the officer was listening. And then finally, he decided not to commit suicide. And when the officer was asking him, why did you decide that? He said, because you listened to me. Because you listened to me. You know? There's a saying that there's a reason why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, because he wanted us to listen twice as much as than to talk. You know? And Prabhupada was an extremely good listener. At the beginning on 26 2nd Avenue, one day, Kirtanananda came to Prabhupada and said, I think we are all God. I think the impersonalist philosophy is right, and I think this Vaishnava philosophy is wrong. And Umapati, I heard this from Umapati. Umapati said that he never saw Prabhupada like this. Suddenly he started getting red, started getting angry. You could see by his face. And Kirtananda kept going on and on and on, explaining the impersonalist philosophy. And then at one point, Prabhupada says, are you finished? And Kirtananda says, no. And he continues. And then again, after some time, Prabhupada said, are you finished? And said, yes. And then Prabhupada says, because of this, and this, this impersonalist philosophy is wrong, is misleading, and Prabhupada goes on, and Umapaji said, and that is what actually saved us. But before he's speaking, he was listening for a long time. And he had this demeanor, this practice of saying, are you finished? And one day I used Prabhupada's technique. A crazy man came to my store. And in the middle of other customers, he started talking very loudly, all kinds of nonsense things. And I let him talk, and talk, and talk, and talk. And then I said, are you finished? And he said, yes. So now you get out of here before I call the police. And he left immediately without saying anything else. The Prabhupada technique is amazing. So I remembered Prabhupada on that. So, two important things we can learn from this chapter and from this story of Trivakra is that we should never miss the opportunity to eulogize, to encourage the devotees of the Lord or anybody to become engaged in the service of the Lord. Another nice story. With Jayapataka Swami and the one that established the Ratha Yatra, just forgot his name, Jayananda. The first time Jayapataka Swami visited the temple, they were building the Ratha Yatra cart. So Jayananda invited him to go there and help. Gave him a hammer and a nail. And Jayapataka Swami said, I had never held a hammer and a nail in my hand. And Jayananda said, so you're going to put this, you're going to nail it right here. So he did once. Jayananda said, my God, you are a professional carpenter. And he said he felt so encouraged. He said, nobody ever encouraged me like this. So we should never miss the opportunity to encourage the Vaishnavas. And we should minimize the punishment for a special occasion. Sometimes punishment is necessary. And Prabhupada explains in the purport of that verse that explains about the austerities of the tongue, that a master sometimes, he has to punish the disciple for the disciple's benefit. But it doesn't mean that if you are not the master, you go punishing everybody. Let me read Prabhupada's exact words on this. Okay, here is one should speak in such a way as one should not speak in such a way as to agitate the minds of others. Of course, when a teacher speaks, he can speak the truth for the instruction of his students. But such a teacher should not speak to those who are not his students, if he will agitate their minds. So, we should remember these two things from this chapter. They're extremely important for our own benefit, for pleasing Krishna, and for encouraging everyone to proceed in the path of devotional service. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If you have any questions, any comments, you're welcome to do so. I'm happy you're encouraged, even with me speaking. You must be a saintly woman, and your husband must be a saintly man.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
Really
Krishna.
nice class. I was just reminded of a little thing which my son was telling me. He came back from the Festival of Inspiration this past week, and he was saying on the bus, this Prabhu was, anything anybody did, Sachinandan Prabhu, said he was saying such good things, such good things. Anybody was doing a little bit, and he was encouraging and saying really nice things, and he said it was kind of odd.
Sachinanda has this nature.
And he
He
said,
has
I was
this
feeling
nature.
uncomfortable. And I was feeling, wow, such a nice thing that he's noticing, and you have to be very present to be able to do that, to be able to encourage and appreciate devotees, appreciate anyone who's people around you. But I was trying to tell that to my son, that it is actually, it's a very positive trait that one can have, that you encourage, and you actually, as a manager, like he's managing this bus store, so he has to involve a lot of people in the Rath Yatra, coordinating everything for Rath Yatra or taking people out. So a manager, that's a very good trait in a manager.
He is the perfect man for the job.
Yes.
He was sent by Krishna to help us with this, because I was there. I was in that bus as well. And he is always encouraging everyone. Yeah. Any other questions or comments? I just want to mention one pastime of Prabhupada, because we need to know how to measure, to have the common sense of measuring when to go this far, when to, it's not an easy thing. It requires a lot of common sense. So one time, Brahmananda and Gargamuni's mother came to see Prabhupada. So they got the only chair that was available at 26 Second Avenue, and they brought for her, and she sat down, and Prabhupada is talking to her. And then at one point, Prabhupada said, no, it would be nice if you give a donation to our movement. And she said, donation? I already gave you 2 sons. What else? Whatever other donation you want me to give? And Prabhupada said, oh yeah, it's okay. So immediately he gave up. He did not insist. So we need to know how to have that common sense. And Prabhupada was an expert on this. He knew when to stop, and not make the person uncomfortable. Thank you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Very good.
But you're like an evangelist. You're outspoken, you shout it out, Little hellfire type stuff,
Some of them were really good.
Yeah, so some kinds of good.
Really get the message across.